Good afternoon. I'm Robert White, council member at large and chair of the Committee on Housing. I'm calling to order this organizational meeting of the committee. The time is 11:06 a.m. on Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. We're meeting in room 123 of the John A. Wilson Building and on Zoom, and we have a quorum consisting of my at-large colleague, Councilmember Anita Bonds, my Ward 3 colleague, Councilmember Matt Fruman, and myself. Today, we'll consider two administrative measures, one to adopt rules and one to appoint committee staff. But I'd first like to briefly share what the committee has been up to and what's ahead. Over the last 2 years, with the help and support of committee members, we have made a lot of progress. We ended some lingering unfair practices in apartment application fees. We updated local voucher eligibility rules to reduce barriers for people exiting homelessness. We supported public housing residents and people with housing vouchers through major reform of the Housing Authority. There's still plenty of work to do, but we are straightening that ship. We banned widespread harmful practices that posed real housing barriers for people with pets and caused unnecessary suffering. We used both legislation and oversight tools to fight for first-time homebuyers when they ran into major problems with the district's home purchase programs. And we still have more work to do there as people stop me in public at least once a week with concerns about HPAP. We rose to the challenge of unprecedented inflation that undermined the rent stabilization program and led the council in striking an emergency compromise. We cleaned up some long festering issues in the law with rent control, rental housing, voluntary agreements, and even remote meetings for condos. And we passed path-breaking mentorship program that will meet young people where they are and call on city employees to help give young people the support and guidance they are looking for. Now we have to get the program funded and running. When I say we, I don't just mean us council members and our staff. I mean everyone who comes to the Wilson Building and shares their ideas. I mean people who don't come to the Wilson Building, but who let themselves be vulnerable and honest about their dreams for the city when government representatives do what we're supposed to do and spend time in their communities. I mean brilliant subject matter experts and hardworking administrators in our executive branch agencies. I mean people who think of themselves as progressive activists and people who think of themselves as business leaders. As I said at our swearing in earlier this month, I want to find common ground with anybody who's committed to the business of progress. That is what we are called to do in this moment. We have momentum. We're going to stick to the methods that have served us best over the past 2 years. We'll keep taking the work of this committee right to the places where housing problems are happening all across the district. We're going to keep inviting uncommon collaboration. And we're going to keep pushing our agency partners to focus on accountability using clear goals that accelerate the district's most pressing housing priorities and measuring progress so that we know whether we're moving in the right direction. We are in a housing crisis in DC, and we need an all hands on deck approach to address it head on. The CFO's office testified at our roundtable late last year that new multifamily housing permits have stopped cold. Meanwhile, nonprofit landlords that I trust tell me that they are really hurting. We've also seen serious housing condition failures in some for-profit buildings. I've been hard at work pulling in people with a variety of expertise, landlords, tenant association leaders, attorneys, developers, and scholars to find workable interventions. In the coming weeks, I invite colleagues to help us as we work to boost affordable housing production and preservation. And last night, I sat at the youth town hall and listened to young person after young person speak about how the stress of housing instability is impacting them personally and their families. These are kids, and all of us adults know that stress as well. We also need to keep working on voucher and public housing problems and the long, painstaking work of helping the Housing Authority focus its efforts on the most critical improvements. We'll need to take up legislation to phase in a new board structure soon, since the Stabilization and Reform Board has completed their initial 2-year term. Councilmember Fruman, I see a lot of opportunities to keep partnering now that human services are in your committee's jurisdiction. We have draft legislation to secure additional assistance for the financially injured residents struggling through the Talbot Street crisis, who went from first-time homebuyers to distressed renters when their new condos became uninhabitable through no fault of their own. Several members have already said they want to help support these residents, and I'm excited to take members up on that. We're going to introduce legislation that would help take downtown revitalization to the next level with a focused economic development corporation, a clear plan, timeline, and metrics. And we want to do more to ensure that real estate transactions are free from bias that prevents minority sellers from realizing the true market value of their homes. Council members McDuffie and Parker, who are leaving the Committee on Housing this year, have my thanks. Council members Pinto and Fruman, you've been thoughtful partners on this committee for the past 2 years, and I am excited to continue working together. And Council member Bonds and Nadeau, welcome to the team. Of course, Council member Bonds is no stranger to housing issues and has been an incredible brainstorming partner for me. Now, let's adopt our rules. The Rules of Organization and Procedure for the Committee on Housing, Council Period 26, Resolution of 2025, incorporates by reference the rules we circulated yesterday. There are no substantive changes from our prior rules. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Fruman.
No,
Nope.
thank you very much.
Oh.
I was just getting ready to say yes.
There we go. Okay. All right, then, hearing none, I move the committee print of the Rules of Organization and Procedure for the Committee on Housing, Council Period 26, Resolution of 2025, with leave for staff to make technical and conforming changes. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please indicate by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the measure passes. Our second measure on the agenda today is the Committee on Housing Staff Appointment Resolution of 2025. Council rules and the committee rules that we just adopted require the appointment of our committee staff by resolution. With this resolution, I am very proud to nominate Sean Hilgendorf to continue serving as committee director, Katie Whitehouse, who remains my legislative director and is taking on some new committee responsibilities, Sean Cuddihigh, deputy committee director, Francesca Bryce, legislative counsel, and Kate Conquest, legislative assistant. I will also note for the record that Caitlin Kochalova, who previously served the Committee on Housing as senior legislative counsel, is being promoted to deputy legislative director. Caitlin is not named in today's resolution as she will dedicate more of her time to non-committee projects as we hire additional committee staff, but she will still be a critically important part of this team. Is there discussion? I move the committee print of the Committee on Housing Staff Appointment Resolution of 2025 with leave for staff to make technical and conforming changes. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please indicate by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the measure passes. Thank you very much. Council members, we have our committee. If anyone listening is interested in learning more about this committee's work, please sign up for our newsletter at robertwhiteatlarge.com. The business before this committee has concluded. The time is 11:14 a.m. and this organizational meeting